Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 8 of Conversations with Cerny and McCurdy. We're your hosts.
I'm Ryan McCurdy.
And I'm Chris Cerny with our guest, Julian Bulzomi. This episode is going to be another interview-style episode for Season 8. We took a little bit of a break the last couple episodes. Now we're back with another interview. Let's welcome our guest for this week. One of my good friends, actually, from college and a former classmate of mine, Julian Bulzomi. Julian, if you want, you can introduce yourself.
Welcome, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with Chris and Ryan. My name is Julian. I currently work in human resources as a human resources information analyst. I do work in the IT space. Really enjoy what I do and working with the Workday product. Outside of work, I really enjoy being active, very interested in sports, and being able to hike and travel. Also have a deep passion for baking and cooking. So it's just a little bit about me.
Yeah. So we'll go into the main topics today. We're going to be talking about, college, obviously, because we're all relatively fresh out of college.
We're doing less and less as the days go by.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Work life, and then some advice for our younger viewers or your younger self. Ryan, if you want to start us off, you can.
Okay, so into the first topic of everything up until college is kind of the first area. So what was your life like before TCMJ? Like sort of like a brief overview of your childhood.
Definitely, yeah. Well, my childhood, I was very much so an active young person. Was outside a lot, always playing sports. For the most part, that was big part of my childhood, specifically baseball. Playing baseball all 3 seasons of the year, aside from winter, and then training in the winter. Again, really love the outdoors, hiking, traveling. Really like the mountain areas. I've had chances to go to Colorado, California, a bunch of times to Florida as a kid. Did have some family that lived down in Florida as a young child, so had the opportunity to go to Disney and Universal a bunch. That was a big part for myself. And then as I grew up, getting into middle school and high school, still, a big interest in baseball and that taking up a lot of my time. And then throughout high school, playing on travel teams for baseball, going to, showcases, going on different trips. And then, also eventually I did get recruited to TCNJ to be a baseball player as well. So it was a lot of work, of course, that, led up to that. And baseball is definitely my passion. And I've since been out of the game for a couple of years, but that was always my really big passion as a kid.
Yeah. That's awesome. I know Ryan's family really likes going to Disney. My girlfriend's family really likes.
I enjoy Disney too, but it's like
you do enjoy your family enjoys it a lot more.
Yeah, I have a very much a Disney obsessed family, especially like my mom and my sister. Like they once got season pass holders for a year, and they still lived in New Jersey. They just went so many times that year that I was like, "Yeah, it was a good idea."
Yeah.
Although now my sister actually works in Disney. She lives in Florida and works at one of the parks.
Yeah.
Very cool.
In like attractions mostly right now.
Yeah.
Has anyone had a chance to go to Disneyland? I have.
Yes, we went there once and it was great. Like my favorite was because they had rides that they don't have here, like the Indiana Jones ride and Mr. Toad, which are the 2 things that I remember the most liking.
Yeah. No, I haven't been lucky enough to go over there to California and get to go to Disneyland, but I would love to go to there or any of the international parks as well.
I mean, we almost sort of did something because we went on a Disney cruise recently.
That does count, almost, pretty much.
stuff.
Brian, I recall that as well. As a young kid, I was on a Disney cruise as well, and that was a great experience. As a really young kid, being able to go to the different islands and go to those specific places that Disney has for all their travelers.
Because in this one we went on because they did have this own little like beach island that was really nice. I got massively sunburned because no one brought sunscreen. Like they put it on, and I was like, "Oh, I'll just put it on when I get to the beach." And I was like, "Oh no, we didn't. We put it on before we left. We didn't bring it." And
no,
that was not good.
No, not good. Not good. Yeah, I was actually the last time I was in Disney was last year not for for me for fun, but not really in general for fun. It was for college cheerleading nationals. So
with his girlfriend.
Yeah, with my girlfriend. Because TCNJ goes down there every year. And so we went. But I also got to hit. I think we hit every park last year.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, because it was my girlfriend's sister's husband, or my girlfriend's brother-in-law, his first time to Disney. So
so like you gotta show
show him everything. So we went to Animal Kingdom, we went to Magic Kingdom, Epcot, everywhere. So that we could. But yeah, I mean, I guess next we can go into TCNJ, the uniting bond between all of us, actually,
and most
all
of
three of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, basically every guest we've had on the podcast.
Yep.
Yeah. So what was your experience like, Julian? I know that we crossed paths junior and senior year. But what was your full experience like?
Yeah, I think the first thing that comes to mind for me is just interesting. I know that all of us, went through COVID. But for myself, coming in as a baseball recruit, I, declared to TCNJ quite early, pretty much in the first month of my senior year in high school. So TCNJ was actually the only school that I applied to. I knew that, I wanted to go there for baseball and was getting recruited. But once I, of course, got there, was doing some training in the fall for baseball in that fall season leading up to the spring. And I got injured and ended up medically retiring, however you want to put it. And, that all happened in the fall of my first semester. So I was my writing hand, my dominant arm was pretty much out of commission for pretty much the end of September through until, a couple months. So it was definitely a challenge for me to both, transition into school and then deal with, that injury, dealing with classes, and, not being able to type or write. And then also just, of course, the transition out of, I've played baseball my whole life, and this is the first time I was really ever injured or really at any point was not able to play. So that was, definitely a transition for me. And then going into the winter, was continuing through physical therapy and that type of thing. And then came back for the spring and we had COVID. So it was definitely an interesting first year, I would say. My sophomore year, I did go back and lived at school with a couple guys. So I was actually off campus as a sophomore, but was still down in Ewing. So as we all know, classes were remote and there wasn't much to do. So, we were really just making the best of the time, hanging out together. And then, I did go home sometimes, as I'm not sure if we all did, but I know that is popular amongst TCNJ students. So I do have a very, strong relationship with my family and extended family. And so not only that, but also being close to home afforded me the opportunity to be able to go back and forth. And, especially with COVID and with the injury, I was really grateful for that. And then really once I got into the junior year was really when, I was able to get in some more centralized and focused classes, really be able to enjoy school a little bit more, actually being in person and having that hands-on experience. And I really did enjoy those classes that I took junior and senior year. I really enjoyed some of those professors. Some of the things that I even think about now. One of my professors did sing us a "Somewhere Over the Rainbow" song before one of our finals, for one of my psychology classes. So a couple professors definitely left a lasting impact on me. Definitely an interesting experience. The 4 years looked very different with the injury and with COVID, and then kind of fast forwarding in a sense to junior year. But I think I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the people that I met. My experiences, being able to be close to home and still keep that those strong relationships, and also build new relationships at school.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely went home a lot.
Yeah, same. I mean, I definitely did it less as I progressed. Like a lot during, especially my first year, I was coming home, and then it became like every other week, and it became like maybe once a month. But definitely still, because I'm still pretty close to home, so it wasn't like a deal where I could just come home for the weekend. Also, like one of
I
these
drove you home a lot, Ryan.
Yeah, because I didn't have a car.
I drove you home a lot. I know how much we went home.
Yeah. And also, like, the only reason I went to TCJ was that my mom had graduated from TCJ, so it's like she liked it there, and I knew a lot of people from my high school were going there, but like not enough that I was going to be stuck to see them all the time, but enough that it would be like, oh, recognize them, and like that was nice.
Yeah, good face. Yeah, I mean, I also like that it was close to home. And then I have a very different way of getting to TCNJ because I didn't even really know it existed. But I had a family friend who graduated in 2018, also from the School of Business, Julian. So, our part of the campus. But also I happened to do the Bonner pre-college program, so it was a lot of fun doing that the summer before. I think it was my my junior year, the summer before my junior year. Because a lot of kids have that mental breakdown about over if you're actually ready for college. And I had mine, so my parents were like, "Let's find a pre-college program for you to do," and so I did that. And from the second I stepped foot on campus, like I kind of knew that that was the place I wanted to go to. It wasn't the only school I applied to, but it was one of the only schools I did early decision at. So I got my acceptance letter, and was committed from that point forward. But yeah, I mean, definitely went home a lot my freshman year. I know that Ryan and I, junior and senior year, lived together. We went home not as much probably as we probably did freshman year. But junior year, I know we did a couple times.
Yeah.
Because we had a couple power outages
in
the
yeah,
dorm.
or sometimes the water would get bad.
Yeah, or the water would get bad or something like. So we would just go home because we were an hour away, and it was very easy. I will say I will never forget, Ryan, when we went home when the power went out, and then we were like halfway home, and we got the email. Oh yeah, the power's back.
It was just like, well, I think we still went home because it was like we're already on the way, but we were like, damn.
Yeah, we were literally like over halfway home, and we were like, well, damn.
Was your freshman year residence hall the towers?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And I would say that in addition for myself, my freshman year residence hall was Centennial. So
wow.
I think that was something that the school had tried to do to put more of the sports, the freshmen into that residence hall, because there were a lot of sports, kids, including my roommate that were in Centennial. But I would say to some extent that contributed to the experience or difference of experience than you all may have had.
Yeah.
The
I know
towers
everybody.
was very compact.
Yeah, very very compact. I will agree with that. I know like I had a couple friends who lived in ABE, so Alan, Brewster, Eli, and then also in Centennial or a couple of other residence halls, and they all said it was completely different than what Ryan and I had in the towers, which it's crazy to think about.
There's too
But
many
yeah,
people in there.
yeah, I still don't know how they're still up.
Oh right, yeah, because
Let
they kept
alone
saying they're gonna take them down and like renovate them, but nothing's
they've
changed.
been they've been saying that apparently for the last 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, because they're saying it's like they're trying to keep less people in the towers and more people elsewhere, but it's
Oh
like
yeah, now but
they can't.
they reopened the top floors because they also did the partnership with the Mercer County Community College. But I also just found this out this week or last week, a couple weeks ago on LinkedIn, that TCNJ is doing a partnership with Princeton now, Princeton University, where kids can enroll in classes at either school for graduate and undergraduate work. So that's pretty cool. But I definitely had also a different experience because I think I'm the only one out of all of us that went to graduate school at TCNJ. So yeah,
So he had a longer. He was more recently in TCNJ than probably both of us.
Yeah, I was the last time actually genuinely the last time I was at TCNJ was last night.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was visiting one of my girlfriend's friends. We were surprising them, and yeah, it's weird to be back on campus.
Yeah,
But it was literally last night.
Yeah, I had that feeling because I visited for since I was an IMM major in like the DCT area, and then once like with other friends from that major, we went to see like the showcase. But I remember it being like, it feels weird. It feels like for me personally, I don't think I'd go back to CCJ as like a visiting because I don't really know enough of the people still there. Like most people I know have already graduated.
Yep.
And I feel like I would be like, this isn't for me anymore.
Yeah. We went to the alumni weekend, our first alumni weekend too.
Yeah,
Right?
and that was also similar. Like it was fun, but it also was like that was already approaching. That was different
it
because
was
they're like,
weird. It was weird. It was weird being there, as a graduate student. Period.
Oh right,
Like,
because you weren't fully an alumni yet, technically.
yeah, I
You
wasn't
had
fully an
graduated.
alumni. I haven't fully graduated, but I had graduated, and most, if not all, of my friends had graduated already. So it was definitely strange. But yeah, I mean, I guess Julian, we can get into a little bit how we met. Because I don't even think Ryan really knows how we met.
I do not.
Chris, would you like for me to go ahead and talk about it? I was trying to
go
think
for
about the
it.
class earlier, and I wasn't able to remember. Do you happen to remember the specific class?
I was actually going to ask you that because I think it was HR, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was as well. Was it Dr. April, I want to say?
Yeah, I think
okay.
that name sounds familiar. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so from what I recall, Chris, we were in that class, I think, one of the first centralized or focused classes that we had. Chris, I think you were business administration, I was as well, or business management. Rather. So, up until that point, we were taking, some marketing, some, economics. We were taking all the, prerequisite classes. And, so we had gotten into the focus class in HR, and Dr. or Professor April was great. But we had gotten to the point, from what I recall, of, creating groups. And Chris and I had, from what I just remember, had really just looked at each other, and I don't know if we had talked before then or if we had, met each other, but I guess had this kind of mutual understanding that, like, hey, I think we can work well together, and we may not have we may not know others in the class or whatever that is. So that's my recollection of it. Chris, feel free to
Yeah.
fill in what I may have missed.
Yeah, I don't remember, yeah, if we had really talked, but I know definitely we were sitting close to each other, and then I remember the rest of our group was all kids in DSP that I knew. I remember that much,
Mhm.
because it's just so strange for, like, the DSP kids and then us too. Uh, but yeah, no, I remember, like, yeah, we kinda, like, looked at each other when Professor April was talking about groups, and we
Mhm.
kinda knew that we were gonna work well together. And yeah, I remember Professor April, like, she was really good. And I actually got to see her, while I
Mhm.
was in the MBA as well. She did some, like, she helped out with the graduate course, that
Mhm.
Dr. Lilovic taught.
Mhm.
She came in as, like, a guest lecturer, and I was like, "I recognize that name. I know who that is."
Mhm.
Um, but, and she actually remembered me, which was aw awesome, but also a little bit scary too. I was like, "Dang, I took you, like, 2 years ago. Like, how do you remember who I was?"
It's either a
Uh
really good sign or a really bad one.
Yep, exactly. And then I know that, kind of from there, we just always stayed in touch.
Yeah, and I don't really recall, Chris, what it exactly was, whether it was a matter of, us sitting close together and maybe the DSP members were, kind of huddling or in the group and they were expecting to work together or not. I don't exactly know. It's I guess
Yeah.
almost going on 5 years at this point, which is
Yeah, no,
unbelievable.
I know.
Yeah, pretty much 5 years. So, or 4 years, but yeah, and I just know from that point we had taken similar classes since we had
Yeah.
similar interests in, junior spring and into senior year. And I always really enjoyed working with you. I felt like we really, really worked well together.
Yeah.
Um, and there was always, Ryan, just so you know as well,
Mhm.
and just for, the listeners, there were always, I think, there were a lot of sports kids in a lot of these classes. And, Chris and I had seen that we saw the potential, I would say, in each other to want to work with each other,
Yeah.
and was really grateful for that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely grateful for it because, you know, Julian's been a great friend, very big help for, the job search as well,
Oh
which,
yeah, that's
we'll
very
we'll
important.
get into, but I do remember, like, doing all those projects together, and, like, I remember senior year we took some management class again, and we were like, you know what? Let's use that same HR project basically all over again.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and just to clarify what I meant by, those sports members or the DSP members, the familiarity I feel like in those classes, when you have
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
those members or, those people that are in those organizations, outside of class, they what I found are more likely to work together.
yeah,
And I always felt, from an education standpoint that, working with the same people or, working with what's familiar isn't always the best for your education or is the best for just learning in general, learning about yourself and learning about other people. So
it's a
I
bit more
always
narrow focused.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, and I always
exactly.
tried to seek that out as much as possible. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely was something where, yeah, we could definitely see that, like, all the DSP kids definitely wanted always to work together. And then a lot of the sports kids were, yeah, always trying to work together as well because they just
Mhm.
knew each other.
Right.
But, you know, I
It's not a
never
bad
hated.
thing. Yeah, sorry to interrupt, Chris. I just
Yeah,
wanted to reiterate, it's not a bad thing at all. I
no,
think it's rather
not at
just,
all.
TCNJ has smaller classes. And
Yeah,
for 14 to 20, kids in a class, if there are a few, that may be in similar organizations, it just lowers that population of, you know, um, you know, team members that you're able to work with in general.
Yeah, definitely. It was a little bit harder. But you know, I was lucky enough to know a lot of those kids as well, the DSP kids that we worked with. So they were, you know, very welcoming,
Hmm.
open arms with both of us.
Hmm.
And then, you know, just figuring out like, you know, how they wanted to work, what we wanted to do. I know Julian, we had the group chat for the project, but we always had our little side chats going, trying to figure out what to do. But yeah, I mean, even now it's like I see that I saw that in the NBA as well.
Hmm.
I got absorbed into a group and I kind of never left that group. I was absorbed into the older part of our cohort, and they just kind of never let me go. They kind of were like, "Chris, we need you." Like, and it was nice to, you know, be wanted because I didn't really know anyone in the the cohort I was in, because a lot of the students in that cohort were a little bit older. Uh,
Hmm.
I would say we had a few that were, you know, only a couple years older than us, but a lot of them were pretty, big gap older than us. And then, you know, there were, I think, only one or two of us that graduated in 2023.
Hmm.
Um, at least from TCNJ. I know one of them was Julia Sitaro. She played in
Hmm.
she was on the basketball team, uh, the women's basketball team, and
Hmm.
was really good. So shout out to Julia, by the way. And also shout out to my Costco group. Uh, and it was nice to, you know, have another group kind of like what we had, Julian.
Hmm.
And having people that I know, like, now know how to work with.
Hmm.
But and you know, getting to work with Julian as well during all these classes, we were always the first ones in and the last ones to leave.
Yeah. And Chris, I think you bring up a great point, being able to talk to those other groups and discuss with them and see, hey, how are you doing this? So there's definitely a benefit there as well.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yes, Ryan, if you want to go with the next question.
Sure thing. So yeah, after we were talking a lot about TC&J, the next aspect is to be, how was life post TC&J? How was it after you graduated? Sort of, what was that like?
Yeah, I would say, one word that I kind of used for during TCNJ was, interesting. I'll say after TCNJ has been pretty simple. I
Hmm.
think it's really for me just I had an opportunity to intern in the HR team before I started working in HR, so I felt like that transition was, easier for me in that regard. Um, I had the opportunity to accept a full-time offer, pretty soon after college in August. But I, was still working through the internship, right through graduation and throughout the summer until I accepted the full time offer. So that transition was pretty easy for me. I wasn't out there, applying to jobs and really, looking for what I might be interested in. I had the opportunity to have that exposure before I did graduate. And then really outside of work for me is just really the gym. Like I mentioned earlier, I have a really strong relationship with my family. So I'm seeing, grandparents, extended family just about every week. And that's, a big priority of mine. And then just really trying to make time to, see my friends, both from college and from home, now that everyone is spread out, and taking some time to try to prioritize time away from work and traveling and having some new experiences as
Hmm.
well.
Yeah.
That's somewhat similar to me. Like, not fully similar in the sense that, not in the job front. Like, I definitely had a period when I didn't know where I was going to get applied. Like, I was just looking around. So I
Yeah.
definitely had the opposite experience in that front. But also, I'm very close with my family. So, like, I will see my
Yeah.
grandparents at least like once a week typically. And we'll usually
Yeah.
like have dinner with the family, play like Uno a bunch or a sequence. Or now
Nice.
my mom loves dominoes, or specifically the version Mexican Train that Chris showed us.
Yes.
I haven't
Love
heard of that
Mexican
before.
trains. Love
It's
Mexican trains.
I don't know exactly what makes it different from Domino's. It's just there's a
It's a little.
central because Domino's is all about like stacking dominoes with the same type against each other and making like a pattern or like not a pattern, just like getting all your stuff out, kind of like Uno. And Mexican train is there's a central train that
Yeah.
everyone can go on, but everyone also has their own unique train, and as long as they can
Yeah.
put that up, so it's like there's two ways to really
win.
put your dominoes.
Yeah, there's two ways to win and two ways to, put your dominoes out. It's a lot of fun. I learned it because my family is also very close, I will say as well.
Hmm.
And that's actually why I am in a different location for, video
Oh,
watchers.
I did notice that,
They will know that I'm in a different location than I normally am. Than I was for all of season 1,
and
most
almost
of
every
season
other.
2, and then the last episodes we were recording, because the last episodes I was recording at my apartment that I'm now living in, but now I'm in my house in Long Beach Island to be with family, actually. I'm this weekend we're recording in April, April 11th. Tomorrow, April 12th, is
Yes.
Orthodox Easter. So
Ah,
I'm here seeing my family for Orthodox Easter to celebrate with them without my parents, Ryan.
oh, that's surprising.
They're in Austria.
Visiting
They're seeing
more
the other
family.
side of the family.
Wow.
But yeah, I also have a very similar experience, so that's why I'm here. And we also see my girlfriend's family a lot because we live in the same town as her parents. We live like 20 minutes from her grandmother. So we'll see them a lot um throughout the week. And it's not just once a week, it's like multiple times a week. We'll see them, and then we'll see my parents like once every couple months. Because it's a hike to get to where we live from Homedale, so where I live, where my parents live. So it's a little bit of a hike, but yeah, I mean, I definitely had a very closer experience to what Ryan had on the job front as well. I was looking for a job for a while, and luckily now I have a little bit of a more stable role. But yeah, I mean, I guess Julian, the next question we have kind of
Actually, I was gonna.
along. Oh yeah,
I think we
go
should,
for it.
because I added a question about
Oh, okay,
since
yeah,
for the hobbies, and I think that might go
yeah,
better here before we get into work.
yeah, sure. Let's go
So,
for it.
because I know you said you're really into sports and you still go to the gym, but do you and have any still like what is your level of engagement with the sports nowadays?
That's a great
Like
question.
post injury that you talked about.
Yeah, great question. So, after I graduated, I was trying to figure out where my skills in baseball may translate to. I did have a couple opportunities and did coach for a couple different seasons. So last year, I coached in the springtime for some kids getting ready for high school, which was a pretty cool experience. Kids, I feel like these days are much different than us. Um, but we can get into that if you're interested. But I've had a couple opportunities to coach both spring season, summer season, and trainings over the winter. I do not play in a men's league or anything like that, so I'm not actively playing myself. But I'm definitely interested in trying to get back into the coaching side of it in some capacity. I'm also interested in the kind of intersection of sports and business. There are a couple of really cool content creators out there that I really enjoy. Tyler Webb is one of them that really gets into the business side behind sports and what it really takes. One of the really cool examples that I really enjoy was what goes into something for an F1 race in Las
Yeah,
Vegas and what
yeah,
it takes for all those planes to get there, all those logistics, all that side of stuff that
Hmm.
maybe is somewhat sports related, but maybe more so business specific as well.
yeah,
Like the
Um,
act of running a sports event.
Yeah, kind of that, and just everything that goes into you know, a large sports event like that. But he has a wide range of topics that Tyler, discusses, and there are a couple others out there. So possibly, exploring the content creation or media side of sports and sports and business is something that I'm in the early stages of exploring. Um, and I would be interested to get back into playing in some capacity. From what I know right now, a lot of the leagues are typically older, so typically
Yeah.
over 35 years old. There are some that are younger, but they try to keep some of the younger kids that are maybe after, right out of college or have just played more recently, away from those that may be a little bit older. So we'll see if I'm able to find something and able to play and stay active in that way. Other than that, I'll really just be, exploring coaching and those types of opportunities.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
still trying to find a way to keep it in your life, even
Yeah.
if it's not in the same way that it used to be.
Correct. Yeah, and I still watch baseball all the time, just about every day. I'm just a huge baseball guy. Love
Yeah.
going to the ballpark too, spring
Yeah.
training, or just during the season.
Nice.
So yeah, that's I guess one way that I try to stay involved too is by going to the stadium and
Yeah.
yeah.
Julian,
I used to work at a baseball stadium.
Yeah, that's what I
I
was
was
gonna
I was
say.
up in the kitchen, which meant I pretty much didn't. I was like almost unaware that there was baseball going on because I'd either be like washing dishes, helping out, making stuff. Like I baked a lot of cookies, which was the worst part because I take them fresh out the oven, and like if one was missing, it would like mess up a plate because you were like the amount we served was like a whole tray, and so people would
Yeah.
take them, and I'd be like, no, that's like it's uneven now, but I'd have to smell like the freshly baked warm cookies,
Oh,
and just be like, oh,
that sucks.
that was
Yeah.
yeah, that was definitely the worst part of working there because it smelled really good. It was like, and I couldn't have any. I mean,
Julia,
sometimes I did, but
I'm going to Yankee Stadium in a couple of weeks for the Savannah Bananas game.
Oh, that's very exciting. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
I've been interested in that. I know that it's been very popular.
It's
Um,
really cool. I went to one last year. We went to a game last year. My girlfriend's dad won the lottery and invited us. And then this year my girlfriend won the lottery. So we got tickets again this year. They're really cool games. It's
mhm,
really, different from the MLB.
mhm,
But it's a lot of
yeah,
fun, very fan oriented. Uh
it's all like
and
showmanship in a sense. Like,
yeah, it's a lot of
mhm.
showmanship, kind of like the Harlem Globetrotters,
Right.
yeah, that's what I was thinking because
ish. That's kind of how I explain it. Is kind of like the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball,
Mhm,
but they have a whole banana ball league. So
mhm,
there now I think 6 teams in the league.
oh,
Um, and it's really cool. They're very fan focused, very quick games. They're 2 hours max.
honestly,
Uh,
that's a big deal for me because when
mhm,
I've gone to baseball games, I feel like they're a little. My one problem with baseball is that it's a very slow. Like the parts that I
yeah,
find
mhm,
the most exciting are usually the people at bat, or like when the actual game is playing. Was a lot of like work into getting that to
yeah,
there.
mhm,
yeah. My first professional game was the Yankees Blue Jays game last year. At Yankee Stadium, we went to Yankee Stadium twice in 2 weeks. We went once for the Yankees game, and then the next week we went to the Bananas game. But the Yankee game I went to, we had a rain delay in the middle of it. I was like, this is just my curse. Like every time for the first time I go to like a live sporting event, other than basketball because it's indoors, there's rain.
Okay.
Like it's just a curse I have, I guess. I don't know.
It has to happen the first time. It's always going to be something
Yeah,
goes wrong.
yeah. Uh, or
Although,
it's just called NASCAR, and
hmm,
the
yeah,
Mother Nature follows it and goes, "Oh yeah, you're racing this weekend. Rain. All
something about
right.
the Savannah Bananas I thought was interesting is that they're another element of the intersection of like sports and business to me because they're
Yes.
very like aware of marketing and very aware of like image, and they're using that.
They're some of their rules that they have are very interesting on the business side of it. One of the things is that you will never see a Savannah Bananas game ticket or
Mm.
the Banana Ball game tickets on Ticketmaster, SeatGeek, or StubHub.
Hmm.
And if you do, they canceled. If they find your ticket online getting resold for an outrageous price, they will cancel your ticket and ban you from every game for the rest
Yeah,
of your life.
I see. I like that because they're trying to keep the prices affordable so
Yeah,
that people can actually go to the game. So all the
they're anywhere from 30 to $60 a ticket.
yeah, and it's also like that way because if someone's selling their own tickets for and creating high prices, they're
Oh
not
yeah.
seeing that money.
Oh yeah. No, they're
Right.
not. But also, the guy, the man who started it, Jesse, he's a very smart businessman.
Hmm.
He created a bunch of rules of Banana Ball. Like there's no walks after ball 4. You have to sprint. You can sprint as many bases as you can, but every player behind the pitcher in the outfield has to touch the ball.
Oh,
But so you either get a base or you're out, and there's no in between.
that's incredible, Ryan. I
Like,
think another example too is if a fan catches a foul ball, it counts as
Yeah,
an out, which is really cool.
oh, that is,
yeah. It's a
that's
clean.
kind of
If they
exciting.
got a clean catch,
Mhm.
it's an
Mhm.
out.
And I think that's
Uh,
another cool part of fan engagement. And I think they do a great
Yeah,
job of trying to keep, their tickets to their actual fans and try to
yeah,
really create an experience for anyone. I've heard, obviously families are interested in it, but I think older people too are interested in it
yeah,
as well. So I think it's a really
yeah.
cool model.
It is. It's a
yeah,
really cool
definitely.
model. Definitely seeing a lot more of it on social media over the
Mhm.
last 2-3 years. Um, and it's really cool. I will say, being there in person is awesome. They do a bunch of pregame festivities
Hmm.
that really engage the fans. Like they'll one of the things that we saw at Yankee Stadium we were on the upper deck and they were walking around like to us and chucking bananas into a guy with giant pants,
Yeah.
like chucking it off the top deck of Stadium, uh, which was a lot of fun. And when they're walking around and they have a free minute while they were walking around, they were signing autographs for fans,
Mm-hmm.
like taking pictures, taking selfies, really interacting with people, especially the kids.
Mm-hmm.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I mean, even what Julian you said with F1, I know like
Mm-hmm.
everything in F1 is ridiculously expensive.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, they do a great job as well of putting on a show.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have now 3 US Grand Prix, one in Miami that's
Mm-hmm.
coming up in May. Then there's the one in Austin and the one in Vegas.
Yeah.
Vegas is I don't know how they got the green light to shut down the strip at night. Still baffles my mind.
Mm-hmm.
But it's impressive, like what they do, how they're moving, a multi-billion-dollar sport, billion with a B,
Mm-hmm.
dollar sport around the country for 25 weeks of the year.
Yeah.
They're moving it around the world in 25 weeks of the year, and then we have in the U.S. It's the domestic racing motorsports of IMSA, which is sports car racing, IndyCar, NASCAR, and those are also they're moving NASCAR. They're moving 38 of the 52 weeks of the year.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. They're like barely home.
Yeah.
They're barely home. Like luckily that last week they had an off week for Easter, but they're back on the road this week. They're in Bristol, so Tennessee. So it's
Cool.
crazy. But yeah, no, I mean the business behind it is pretty cool. Like I've been reading a couple books about the business behind Formula One right now. I'm reading the book called The Formula. It was written by two, I think they're ESPN writers actually. But it's all about the history of Formula One and the business behind it. I just finished the chapter about all the team principles and why the team principles, all of them are called the Piranha Club. It's because they just have no mercy and they have all the money in the world to chuck around. So it's crazy.
Yeah, I also forgot to mention earlier, I do have a passion for, reading psychology, self-improvement books, but also, listening to podcasts. And some of the podcasts also that, relate to this point are the Founder and Acquired podcasts, and which really talks about the inception of, some of these large companies that we know today and how, they've come to be. And a lot of what we know and what we see, especially with businesses, there is so much more behind the scenes that you just do not see. And to me, it's very interesting as to the challenges that businesses go through and how they overcome them.
Yeah, definitely. My next book is actually going to be, the next read I have is Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. So the founding of Nike, the founding of Nike. So
yeah, I've heard of that.
I'm very excited to read through that book. But yeah, no, I've heard of the founder. I actually need to start listening to it. But I've been listening to other podcasts, so all my tech podcasts. So, but some of those are also very interesting. But I know, so getting back onto the progression of life, I guess, of your life so far, Julian.
I think we're now entering the second
phase.
The second topic out of 3.
Yeah, the second topic out of 3. But I guess I kind of know what you did with your internship because we did the projects on your company a couple times. But yeah, what are you currently doing for work?
Yeah, so I currently work as a HRIS analyst, which means Human Resources Information System or systems. So what I really do is I work with the Workday product. If you're not familiar with Workday, it is a massive HRIS, probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest. And I was part of the implementation team that started from a year and a half ago, where we really recognized that we had a bunch of siloed systems that really weren't, talking to each other or weren't integrated with each other. And there was a real business need for, a global workforce to, have a centralized system. And so basically what, I did at that point is I worked to present a business case to our organization and worked on, gaining some buy-in to transition to the new system. Was a part of the whole configuration and implementation of the system, and I really enjoy just what I do with Workday and optimizing the system. Really just work to improve the employee experience. Do everything from configuration of the system to maintenance, just about everything in between. So I really enjoy doing that. And I've only been in this role for a couple months, but I have had the experience before my title actually changed, just in.
That's awesome. Yeah, I definitely. We chatted last week, so I kind of knew what you were gonna say, but yeah, it's definitely interesting to hear that. yeah, I feel like anybody recently who's been trying to apply for jobs knows at least a little bit about Workday, because
Yeah,
I
it's
feel
a
like almost every big company uses it nowadays.
Mhm.
yeah, it's a name I'm very familiar with. I don't know
Yep.
exactly how often I use something with Workday, but yeah, it's a name that keeps popping up.
Yeah, definitely. Same here.
Yeah, it's a very powerful tool. So just high level for the listeners, Workday is a system that's really built on business processes. So business processes are really a set of tasks that are built into a specific process with a lot of different logic and rules, and the system is run all based upon security groups, eligibility, and these business processes. So, quick example, someone changes a job. This one business process is catching everything that the employee would need. Do they need a new benefit election? Do they need to change their address? And so all of that stuff that was being done separately by separate people and separate systems is now being done all in one place, and that record and that audit trail is all existing in one area.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That's actually really impressive.
Yeah.
All right. I guess going off that, next question is, what have been some of your favorite work memories? I know you've definitely talked about some with us in classes as well, about your experiences at the company you're with. But if you want to give some of those examples to the listeners, that'd be great.
Definitely. Yeah. I think being mostly remote, I am a hybrid worker, but being mostly remote, the opportunities to be in the office for both town halls, which are more so, if people are not familiar, are more so those larger company wide meetings. Our headquarters are in New York City. And so I do have an opportunity to meet all of the leaders when they travel to our headquarters in New York for those meetings. So that is always a really great experience for me, because I'm not always having that visibility or that FaceTime with those leaders at the top of the organization. Um, Other than that, kind of outside some of that, interpersonal social interactions outside of the town halls and holiday parties and things like that. The items that I've really enjoyed are being in performance management conversations. That's something that has been, high level for someone that's pretty young in their career. I've really enjoyed seeing what goes into those and seeing how they are handled. And then also just the workday deployment, seeing the benefits of the system and how it's made my life easier has been a positive experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, definitely as someone young in their career as well, definitely, getting and absorbing as much information as possible is good. And happy to hear that a lot of the stuff you're learning is actually really helping you.
Yeah.
Ryan, if you want to take the next set.
Sure. So this is what are some things that you've seen in the HR space that normal people wouldn't see? Like what are some almost secrets of the trade?
Behind the scenes.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I would say is Workday configuration implementation. So I was on a very small team. I'm not sure to what extent other organizations use larger teams for the deployment, but our deployment was pretty short. It was only about 3 months. Some deployments can last up to 12 months. So just to put that in perspective, how much data we are migrating, cleaning, and transitioning to the new system. So I was on that small team of configuration, moving everything, understanding what we need to do to get the information from the old system to the new system, and cleaning that up is a real behind the scenes project.
Yeah.
And I'm just not sure to what extent young HR professionals are both exploring HR systems, saying Workday is the system of choice, and then going through everything A to Z for that. So I would say that's the first thing. The second thing, as I mentioned earlier, is just performance management. So I've had the opportunity to do everything from A to Z on that front by being able to set up our performance review cycles, have a an opinion or share my ideas on the questions that we're asking and how we're gathering the data, and then all the way going through until evaluating the data, doing something called calibration, which does take employee performance review scores and uses a calibration process to align their performance review rating along with their past performance or what other cross-functional teams have said or what their indirect manager has said. So taking into consideration everything that's going on in an employee experience in the employee life cycle, and all the way through to being able to deliver not directly but be able to write up and share promotions and everything else throughout that performance management process.
Awesome. I guess, yeah, the last question about career we have is, what have you learned from your experiences so far?
Yeah, so in human resources specifically, I was on the operations side before moving into being, an analyst role. So I would say operationally, like something that I've learned is communication is extremely important, especially in a shared services model for human resources where there are multiple team members handling, different requests. Communication is absolutely key. And the employee experience also is extremely crucial. Once you reach a level of, I would say in my experience, over 750 employees, a lot of things do change. So in my young career, we had about 1 to 300 employees. Now we have grown. We are closer to that 800 employee count. And so the employee experience and just the understanding of what needs to be done, time management, prioritization is of the utmost importance now in this type of environment, especially working for a growing company. We have had mergers and acquisitions before. So that has been a very positive experience from the HR side, being able to understand everything that goes into M&A from the HR side of the house.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we're finally at the last topic. It only took us almost an hour.
Yeah. Granted, this is not like going to be a long. This is mostly just the final question to ask.
Yeah, this is the final question to ask that we usually ask all of our guests. And I think it's been really interesting to hear everybody we've had so far on the show answer this question, which is, what's some advice that you have for either your younger self or some of our younger viewers? Our demographic, it does tend to lean a little bit younger, so yeah, that's our last question.
I would definitely say the first thing for that I would say is have confidence in everything that you do. I have seen, just by coaching and having experience with, younger individuals, there's a lot of noise, I think, in today's world, and there are a lot of distractions in today's world trying to pull you in whichever direction, especially as a young individual. So I'd say, really not only have confidence, but try to build that confidence in yourself. I think it's really important being able to go into, a job interview or being able to go talk to your advisor and really be able to advocate for yourself. That is something that I have seen, especially in, the corporate world. I think being able to advocate for yourself is very important. And really no one's going to take care of your career better than you are. And so I think advocating is very important. The next thing I will say is relationships are very crucial. I just certainly believe being open, being able to try to connect with others. I think that is easier in today's world than ever, but I'm not sure that people are necessarily taking advantage of that. Something that I do enjoy doing is even reaching out to someone that's older, whether that's in the industry that you're in, or could be, a different industry, someone you're just interested in, just having a conversation. I think, just having candid and open conversations has, been a little bit of more of an afterthought for younger individuals. So there's a lot that can be learned, I think, from older professionals that also have a lot of experience. And then a little bit more specific to me, this is the last thing that I wanted to mention is, try your best to learn the skills to handle fast-paced and high-stress environments. The reason that I say that is because being in a small and growing organization, there is typically change. And, I do know that change is not easy for everyone, but it is, of course, inevitable. And so I always, if you're able to handle those changing environments, those fast-paced, moving environments, and being able to really kind of break things down and take things one piece at a time, I think that's very beneficial. And I did want to share one last quote that I have. It's from Modern Wisdom podcast. I'm a big Chris Williamson fan. That I do enjoy that. But one of the last items that I saw that I wanted to share was to only take advice from people whose dreams in life are bigger than yours are. So I think a lot of times in today's world, again, as I mentioned, there is a lot of noise, but just be confident and go after what you're interested in.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I've heard that quote actually recently on social media. So yeah,
it's my first time hearing it, but it's a really good one, honestly. It's like if someone, like if they're smaller than yours, then what do you hope to gain from that? Like they're not gonna broaden your horizons really in that sense.
Yep.
All right, that's it. Question wise,
that was probably one of the most like detailed and concise advice we've had.
Yes, definitely. I would agree with that. Ryan, do you have anything else you want to add? Say?
No, I think we got through a lot.
Yeah, we did. Do you want me to take us out, or do you want to take us out?
I can take us out.
Awesome.
Okay. So thank you, Julian, for coming on again and talking with us. Thanks for everyone for listening, commenting, subscribe, do everything the YouTubers tell you to do. As always, social media links are down below, including the ticker, which we put on at the right time this time. And in the descriptions as well. So goodbye. This project was a production of, conversation with Cerny and McCurdy. Our intro magic music is found on pixabay.com. And thank you all. Peace.